YachtBuyer today, we're with Extra Yachts. We have the Extra 76 here that we're going to be looking on board. We also have the Extra 96 here, which is not so much its big sister, it's just a completely different and much larger boat. But standing here, you get an idea of what Extra are about. They're not trying to be like anyone else. There are yachts like this out there with these wonderful rounded bows. They're not the first to do it either, but it is a really interesting boat. It keeps things very simple, but one thing we do know, you have to work very, very hard, and more importantly, think very, very hard if you're going to try and build a simple boat. So let's go on board and have a look around. We're going to have to start the tour of this Extra 76 Loft across this aft deck, because it really is the main feature of the yacht. It's the main reason for the yacht's being, if you like. Come on board and I'll show you. We've obviously seen this kind of style of the yacht before that keeps things, it's not trying to pack in as many salons and cabins as possible. It's going for easy, open, simple space. But it's difficult to do simplicity well. I think they've done it here with Extra. I really like this aft-facing sofa area. It means that when you're sat here, you're looking out over the sea, you're not looking into the boat. We've got this huge sun pad at the back. But there's a lot of cohesion here. So we've got that aft lounge, and we step up into this dining area. And at the touch of a button, this screen here will drop down, and we've got the galley and a nice seating area there, serving this dining area. If I had my way, I'd really quite like the idea of there being more of a serving area here, you know, like a bar. You could have some stalls here, but of course that would then push into this dining area. And you know, this boat will sleep 8 people in 4 cabins, so you need to have the space for them to dine. Just here we have, won't be moving this, but we have like another outside barbecue. We have ice makers, fridges, sink here. So the deck lifestyle element is well catered for, and really this is the center of your social living on board the boat. But we're forgetting one important thing. And I really wasn't expecting something this big. It's extenuated by the fact that Palumbo and Extra, they haven't filled it out with seating, so you've just got space. There's something that just figures on this boat. So this boat is around 24 meters, I think, something in that region. But it feels bigger because they just haven't filled the space up particularly. It's got this real easy living. There's still lots of detail. Got these beautiful ribbed sections across the bulkhead here. There's lots of detail. It's just that they've been brave enough to leave space. And of course, you can have freestanding furniture. You can have whatever you want. But I quite like the fact they've just left it open. So we've got the outside living space. We've got the inside living space, and they're equally relaxed. You've got window lines to each side. This is a nice touch here, if I can make it work. We have one of these electronic frosted windows. So, will it work? Won't it work? Try it here. There we go. So when you're underway, this will frost. So you've got protection, especially at night. You want to separate the light here for the helmsman on the other side. But when you're at anchor, or if you're just day cruising, turn it off, and then you can see right the way forward. Again, not the first boat to do it, but it's a nice feature. And you can, if you come forward here, you can see just how far forward we are. We really pushed the helm right forward, right up in the back of that lovely dinky rounded bow there. You know, you can imagine if you're going along through the water, right up in the front. Lots of fun. Before we deal with serious things like the Helm Station, I just want to take you back into the galley. So we've got this galley, so this is opening out, and we can close it off entirely. So if you've got guests on board, if you're having a party, if the crew are hard at work in here, the chef is hard at work in here, you can close it off. No one gets to see what's going on here until the culinary magic arrives. But it opens everything up, and you get this flow. And talking of flow, we go through this side. We can go up to the upper deck. There's a dayhead toilet behind here. One of the things about the Extra is it's a fairly low level boat. You know, they could have taken the height up a lot more, but it's quite sleek. It's got that SUV, sports utility vessel style. But this is a key area. You've got that massive aft deck. You've got the really, you know, relaxing main salon. But this is private, more intimate. this feels like a place that you can escape to. And certainly if you're in port, I think this is where you want to be. On that aft deck, you're going to have people looking from the port side, or potentially anyway, you're a bit more exposed. This is private space. So you've got this huge sun pad. This awning, by the way, is rated to 30 knots. So you can keep this up even when you're underway. This yacht will do around 20 knots flat out, running on twin IPS 1350s. Again, we'll talk more about that when we're back at the Helm Station. But these carbon fibers poles are very strong. This will stay up. But really, the awning's more of a at anchor or in port, just to give you some shade. But it's good to know you can keep it up. So we've got a teak table. And if we come round here, we've also got a little sink. We've got a little hot plate there. We've got a fridge freezer and an ice maker. So you can be pretty self-contained up here. But of course, the crew are literally one set of stairs away from bringing up food, lunch, dinner, as you will. So we're going to take a little bit more of a closer look now at this Helm Station, because we've got this bench here. I mean, it's ostensibly a two-person bench, but you can probably get 3 people on here. But the real highlight, really, for me anyway, of this Helm is just how far forward we are. So we're sat here, or stood here, and you can see we're looking over that bow. I mean, this is real, like Tonka toy kind of fantasy stuff. You can imagine pushing along. This boat's fitted with twin IPS 1350s, that's 1,000 horsepower each. We'll push this boat to about 20 knots top speed, cruising at about 15 knots, and around 12 knots you're looking at 1,000, 1,100 nautical miles. But it's very usable, comfortable, easygoing performance. IPS generally delivers a very smooth, reliable, constant level of power. We've got the throttle controls here. We've got the joystick control here. Say 76 foot. It feels like a big 76 foot, but this joystick will make docking and close quarter handling, working around marinas and ports, much easier. But pushing along, let's say 15 knots, very smooth. You've got the backup of the Seakeeper stabilizer. That's a gyroscopic stabilizer. That's working to keep the boat nice and stable in the water. So you've got nice level trim, you've got nice stability, and you've got this easy laid back 15 to 20 knot performance. And I think stood here, the water being pushed by this bluff bow, I think it'd be a really great drive. So again, just like the rest of the boat, everything just feels easy. We've got twin VHF controls here. There's lots of space for control. We've got a bits cupboard here. This boat is very much used. This boat is owned, and it seems to have stood up very well. But everywhere we look, there's going to be owner stuff, so we need to obviously respect the privacy. But just feels very easy going. And before we leave, we've got 2 side doors. Now, you might look at this and think this is an area that you're just never going to be involved in, as in this is where your crew will be, your skipper. But having 2 doors when you're at anchor, when you're at rest, or even in port, just makes it look a much easier boat to sort of move around. And who doesn't want to go and sit up in that wonderful little rounded bow, be it underway or in port? Anyway, that's the Helm. I'm going to take you downstairs and we'll look in the below decks cabins now. Here we are, below decks, 4 cabin layout, fairly conventional in terms of its layout, but fairly impressive in many ways. This boat's fairly beamy, and you can tell that because standing here, look at the floor space I've got. And this is an asymmetrical bed, it's not like this all the way around, but standing on this starboard side, the floor space is incredible. This is like your main living area. You've got a little sofa here and a table. Bear in mind that you can have various layouts. This is just the way that the owner has their boat. But this feels big. It definitely feels beamy. 76-foot boat. I mean, trying to think of an example, we looked at the Serena 78 recently, which is a very different boat to this. You know, they're trying to do something very different with it. But you've got to say this sort of matches the beam of that boat, and actually, if anything, feels bigger because they've left it fairly simple. Just like on deck, there is a very laid back, sort of understated, but very cool finish to this boat. And I have to say, the use of materials is impressive. Really like these textures and the marbles. There's a sort of zen quality to this boat. We have a walk-through ensuite there, and we also have storage in here and in here. I'm not going to linger too much there, like I say, because there's lots of personal belongings. But in terms of storage, storage under the berth, storage behind you there, storage space along here, storage on the other side of the berth as well. So you're not wanting for anything. This is obviously just stylistic. You may want to have a larger sofa or 2 club chairs. That's all fine. The great thing about this particular boat and this particular finish is it just sort of gives you a much better idea of what you could have on this boat. So we'll go forward now because I want to show you the VIP, which is another great cabin. Got 2 twin cabins on each side there. There's some really interesting forward VIPs coming up, the way they're using this bow space. A lot of it's about the fact that designers now are carrying the beam a lot further forward, so that means you can just have a lot more volume this far forward in the boat. Not that many years ago, the bows and the taper here were becoming in a lot more, so this kind of space just would not be viable. But now we have, you know, what sort of feels like a full beam cabin running across the bow. We have an ensuite here, and again, plenty of storage hidden behind here, secreted away, all very neatly done. But I think this will be a favourite cabin, this particular one. And we have the ensuite through there, like I say. Nice shape. And then we have 2 twin cabins, both ensuite. So 4 ensuite cabins. So as we've been sort of walking around about, we just keep finding more and more features. We've been talking about how simple everything is on board, and that's a very good thing. And like we've also been saying how hard a boat builder has to work to make a simple boat, and it turns out very hard. There's lots of storage that we didn't know even existed. So behind this nicely ribbed panel here, we've got a wine cooler. We've then got more storage, fair enough. But then if I bring you around here, we've got storage units all the way along. So we've got glass storage, we've got cups here, and then more sneaky storage here. If I can actually find how this opens. Sneaky storage 1, sneaky storage 2. So, keep saying it, can't have enough storage on the boat. And we just keep finding more and more on this boat, but it's been done really quietly. And actually, just while we're looking, kudos, we do like a dog. Sadly, the dog's not on board, but here's his bed. We hope to meet him at some future point. As part of the extra 76's sort of onboard domestic systems, it comes with these solar panels worked into the deck head. Now, these work in 2 ways. Similar to other yachts we've seen actually. Now the most straightforward benefit is they give you around 4 kilowatts of charge. So that's useful to keep the batteries topped up, run lighting and what have you, silent running when you're at anchor. Just gives you that ability to keep the domestic batteries running nicely. But they also create shade. Obviously this boat has air conditioning, has generators and what have you. So when the sun's beating down, what these also do is they reflect light, they absorb heat. So what you end up with is a cooler boat and some free electricity. What's not to like? So how do we sum up a boat like the Extra 76? It's pretty hard to define. We started off by saying it was a very simple yacht, and it is in many ways. We've got expanses of decks, we've got expanses of interior, 4 cabin layout, and it just has this really understated, very zen-like quality, I think, as we said. But the more we looked, the more we saw there is storage everywhere. It's got that very neat little solar powered charging system, and it also feels like a very practical boat, you know, a boat that you could really use. I think this style of yacht is only going to become more popular. Yeah, if you need more cabins, you want more space, you want 2 salons for your 76 foot, you can get that. In fact, Extra will offer you that. But if you like laid back cruising, if you like the easy life, I think there's a lot to be said for the 76 Loft.